Have you ever wondered why it's difficult for you to achieve what you want to achieve? Well, one of the main reasons that we all struggle with, without even realizing it, is that I can be physically here and very disconnected. I can be out of touch or disconnected from my body. I can be disconnected from other people. My attention span is limited and wanders. As a matter of fact, even if there's been no trauma, the average person spends 47% of their waking state, 47% of the hours you're awake, traveling in the mayonnaise without even realizing it. And that is not counting in the various events in your life that have caused trauma. And we know that what happens with trauma is it gets encoded, and it's not even labeled as to what it is. It's not in the intellectual brain, because trauma occurs when we're being overloaded and the intellectual brain shuts down. So it's the emotions and the body and the muscles and literally the bones that are encoding the trauma, and there are no words to describe it. So maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 20 years later, somebody does something that's an echo of the trauma that you don't remember. And suddenly all of those emotions and encoded feelings are attached to this terrible boss I now have. I'm not saying the boss is an angel, but the most important thing is to realize that we can really improve our lives with resilience, and resilience comes from clearing out traumatic experiences and learning how to focus. One of the major aspects of trauma is it greatly increases our inability to stay focused. And then everybody listening to this is probably also practicing how to be unfocused because, oh, I saw something that is just making more clients for me or for you, is a little girl, maybe she was 3, holding onto her mother's knee and shaking her mother's knee, and her mother was patting her on the head and texting on her iPhone. This little girl is being traumatized because she is saying, I need to be connected, I need to be engaged with my mommy to grow up with a sense of I'm okay and a sense of security. And mother is in her world, disconnected from her child, disconnected from the child's needs, out of tune with herself, out of tune with the child. And what's really important is to realize, and I can say this because I've been in the field for 55 years, and I've seen all the fads and fashions. I would say 80 to 85% pre-pandemic of people coming to see me that ultimately they were unaware of traumatic situations that had to be cleared and processed so they could really be productive in their lives. So for instance, people who come to you with problems with alcoholism or eating disorders or severe depression or an inability to connect to life, which you can misinterpret as depression. I'd say 60% of the time the people who come to me and they're depressed and the medications aren't working, it's trauma. If you go to the underlying trauma, and it's not an intellectual process, one of the things that's very important, Erickson's work in hypnosis can be very effective, but I say don't use Erickson's work. Don't use any other form of therapy with trauma until you learn how trauma works. Trauma is not logical, it's non-linear, and it's counterintuitive. What you think you should be doing is absolutely not what you should be doing. As a matter of fact, I'm sure most of you listening to this said, oh, you deal with trauma by pushing into it and you have catharsis. Absolutely wrong. Join me in learning much more about trauma.
Okay, yeah.